Welcome to my next Madden 23 offseason rebuild, the Seattle Seahawks. The rules are pretty simple here. I have 3 seasons to win a Super Bowl, otherwise this rebuild is considered a failure. For the first season, I will be using a draft class that I downloaded, but after that, for the next 2 drafts, will just be completely auto-generated. But now we can jump right in, and the first thing that I see here is 34 players are ready to negotiate their contracts. We have $85 million in cap space. I have a feeling a lot of these guys aren't going to get re-signed here. And I've now looked through all of these guys, and I really don't see anyone that I am just dying to bring back. If there's anyone the Seahawks brought back in real life that I don't bring back here, I do apologize. But most of these guys seem pretty easily replaceable. I'm not going to lie, the only decision I have to make here is quarterback Geno Smith. But he's only a 78 overall, he's 32 years old, he's not going to get any better, he's only going to regress, and he wants a 1-year, $31 million contract. We're going to look in free agency and see if there's anyone else, or if we can get Geno for even cheaper, or maybe we can take someone in the draft. So yeah, since I decided not to sign anybody, we have $86.5 million in cap space for the first free agency of this rebuild, and it should be pretty interesting, but let's go see exactly who's available. First player I see here is running back Miles Sanders, but I don't think we need a running back because we do have Kenneth Walker, who is an 85 overall, pretty sure a superstar dev trait. So that is probably not a player we're going to pursue, but he is the best player in free agency apparently. But let's go through our quarterback options here. The best quarterback in free agency is Geno Smith at 78 overall, but like I said, he's 32 years old. There are currently 11 teams going after him. Jimmy Garoppolo is interested in us. No one's going after him. Jacoby Brissett is actually a scheme fit. No one's going after him. There's Daniel Jones and Teddy Bridgewater. They're not interested in us at all. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, only 28 years old, 70 overall. Maybe my Oklahoma Sooners bias comes through and I sign Baker. Before I start throwing offers out in free agency though, let's go over the team that we have. At left tackle and left guard, we have 2-star dev traits. That's pretty solid. Center is a 61 overall, so we probably want a new one of those. Right guard and right tackle, 77 and 75 for the normal dev traits. Noah Fant is a star dev trait. Tyler Lockett is a star dev trait. Kenneth Walker is a superstar. Definitely gonna need a quarterback though. Sean Mannion's only a 50 overall. And then you have DK Metcalf, an 88 overall superstar dev trait. Over on defense, I did switch the defense to a 4-3 instead of a 3-4. It looks like we are fine at safety because we have Quandre Diggs, who is an 85 overall. Jamal Adams is a 90 overall, currently injured for 21 more weeks. And then we should get Jordan Brooks back at middle linebacker. So maybe we look to upgrade at outside linebacker a little bit. Corner is definitely a problem, but I would say the biggest issue is going to be D-line. And here are the 5 contracts I'm going to be offering here in stage 1. We're going to try to get James Bradbury, Juju Smith-Schuster, Samson Ebukam, I hope I said his name right, probably didn't. Matthew, I never want to try to pronounce your name because I'm pretty sure I'm going to say the last name completely wrong. And I am offering a contract to Baker Mayfield. Now we're bringing Baker in to be our quarterback just in case I can't draft anybody. I don't see anyone in free agency that I'm comfortable starting for 3 years. But if I don't land a quarterback, we're going to need a quarterback better than Sean Mannion. So hopefully one of these guys will take it here. And Juju and Baker have not signed, but we do land James Bradbury, Samson Ebukam, and Matt, whatever your last name is. And here are 4 more contracts I am offering. I've upped the contract for Juju, considering other teams are now bidding for him. David Onyemata, I hope I said his name right. Matt Paradis, or Paradise, I'm not real sure how to say his name. He's a center though. And Baker Mayfield. So let's see if we land any of these guys here. And it looks like we hopefully land everybody here. We got everyone, I think, and all right, never mind. There's Juju. I was about to say we got everyone but Juju, but we did land Juju. So our receiving core of DK, Juju, and Tyler Lockett should be pretty solid for whoever we land at quarterback, even if it is Baker Mayfield. And just because I started this at the end of the season, there is no mock draft 4 or 5, so mock draft 3 is the final one. And it looks like the Bears are expected to take Bryce Young, which is exactly what they did in my Raiders rebuild, and then I traded for Justin Fields. We're not going to do the same exact thing. We are expected to take Jalen Carter, though. That would not be a bad pick, but we need a quarterback, and it looks like the top 3 are going to go in the first 3. So I'm a little curious what it would take to trade up and get pick 1 here and take a quarterback. And this is honestly a lot to offer them, but I think if the Bears actually traded this pick, they would get a lot more than this. I'm offering the 2 first-round picks we have this year and Seattle's second-round pick, so I am keeping Denver's second-round pick, so we will have the 5th pick in the second round if they take this, and let's see, they will. So we have the number 1 pick in the draft. And obviously, I think this pick is going to be between 2 quarterbacks. Do we take Bryce Young with his B awareness A, accuracy everywhere, A, throw on the run, and A, throw under pressure? Or do I take quarterback CJ Stroud, who has A, awareness, A, break sack, A, accuracy everywhere, A, throw on the run, and A, throw under pressure? There's also Will Levis here, but personally, I don't think Will Levis is as talented as those other two quarterbacks. He does have A, accuracy everywhere and A, awareness, so in this game, he'd probably be pretty solid, but I think with the #1 pick in the draft, I'm going to take quarterback CJ Stroud out of Ohio State, and he has a normal dev trade in this. Are you kidding me? And with the 5th pick here in the 2nd round, I'm going to take Clark Phillips, a defensive back out of Utah. He is decently fast. He was the 8th fastest corner and the 6th fastest corner at the Combine and the Pro Day. He comes in with B man coverage, C play rec, C press, B tackle. We're going to take him, and he will also have a normal dev trait. So apparently I'm going to draft just as well as I did at the start of the Raiders one. And I'm going to go ahead and take one more corner. Is it a smart idea to take corners back to back? Probably not, but I'm here at pick 20 in the 3rd round. I'm going to take corner Deontay Banks out of Maryland, and he will come in with a hidden dev trade. And now I'm simming to the end of the draft, because if you've never seen any of my rebuilds before, I only pick the first 3 rounds, and then I let the computer pick the rest of them. So CJ Stroud is a normal dev trait, but he's a base 81 overall. Right now has -3 morale. What I'm actually going to do right here is I'm going to go change him to a star dev trait, just because I feel like when Madden comes out next year, he will be a star dev trait. I feel like it's a little ridiculous. He's a normal dev trait here. So we are going to make him a star dev trait and move on from there. Now for the rest of the class, it looks like Clark Phillips is a 74 overall corner, and Deontay Banks a 71 overall corner, but he was a hidden dev trait. And then we got a 61 overall middle linebacker, a 64 overall center, a 68 overall right guard, and a 65 overall defensive end. So here is the starting offense for season 1 of this rebuild, and I don't think the O-line is going to be that good. I apologize, CJ Stroud, if you die behind this. Now over on defense, obviously Jordan Brooks is still injured. He's going to miss the first 2 weeks of the regular season. We are very young at corner outside of James Bradbury. Tariq Woolen is incredibly good. Kobe Bryant is incredibly young. Phillips is young, and Banks down here is still young, obviously, with a hidden dev trade. And now I'm simulating season 1 of this rebuild. I don't expect this team to be too good. Maybe like outskirt of a playoff team. We do have an 81 overall quarterback. Hopefully he's progressed to a superstar by the end of the season. But we'll see how good this team actually is. I think the defense is honestly going to be the really weak point, if not the O-line. Alright, we are definitely not a fringe playoff team. We finished the season 5-12. We have the 25th ranked offense in points per game, the #2 offense in passing yards per game, which is pretty good, and then 28th in defensive points per game. And CJ Stroud had one hell of a season. 5,300 yards, 32 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. How we do running the ball? Kenneth Walker ran for 14 touchdowns, and receiving Juju 96 catches, 1,400 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett went over 1,200 and 6 touchdowns. DK Metcalf 1,100 yards and 4 touchdowns. Will Dissly caught 8 touchdowns. Did Noah Fant get injured or something? He only has 21 catches for 3 touchdowns. What about defense? What happened over here? Jordan Brooks led the team in tackles, even though he missed the first 2 games. Sacks, we really need to improve there. We do not get a lot of sacks, I guess. And interceptions, Quandre Diggs got 3 and James Bradbury got 3. And it looks like CJ Stroud finished 2nd in passing yards, only between Joe Burrow and a Tom Brady who does not retire after the first season here. Burrow threw 51 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, and Brady led the league in picks. That would probably kill him in real life. Derrick Henry ran for 1,700 yards, and in touchdowns it goes to Jonathan Taylor. Receiving Cooper Kupp, once again, and every year in simulation he does stuff like this. 122 catches, 1,900 yards, and 19 touchdowns. All of those lead the league, except for Odell Beckham in Cincinnati also caught 19 touchdowns. And the Super Bowl champion in this season goes to the New York Jets, who are led by a returning Sam Darnold. And if you don't know, I am an Eagles fan, so it would suck to lose back-to-back Super Bowls, but I do have a friend that's a Jets fan, and I think he would lose his mind if Darnold came back and then somehow won a Super Bowl. Either way, NFL MVP goes to Joe Burrow, Coach of the Year goes to Zach Taylor, Offensive Player of the Year goes to Cooper Kupp, Von Miller is Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year is Quentin Johnston, and Defensive Rookie of the Year is Myles Murphy. Now about the Quentin Johnston thing, that friend that I just mentioned is a Jets fan. He's also a TCU fan, so he would be having one hell of a season if this happened. And now we get ready for the second off season of this video, where we have $98 million in cap space and 17 players that are ready to negotiate their contracts. And the first thing I notice here is Jordan Brooks has very little interest in coming back to Seattle. I will offer him a contract anyway, but it's kind of hard to re-sign those guys without massively overpaying them. Noah Fant wants to leave. Matt, whatever your last name is, wants to leave. Not really a shock. I think he was only on a 1-year contract. A lot of these guys, I'm not too upset if they do leave, but let's go ahead and throw a contract over here at Jordan Brooks. I do want to keep him, so we're going to offer him a player-friendly deal. And thanks for the offer, but I'm just not interested in signing. Okay, so Jordan Brooks is going to test free agency. And CJ Stroud, after I moved him to be a star dev trade, is now a superstar dev trade after his rookie season and an 85 overall quarterback. But aside from CJ Stroud, how does the rest of the offense look? Kenneth Walker still an 85 overall superstar dev trait. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Juju are all star dev traits as a 91 overall, 88 overall, and an 85 overall. So the big important part to, I guess, improve this offseason is going to be the O-line. And the D-line as well, as that looks incredibly, incredibly bad. All the outside linebackers probably need to get replaced. I only have 2 seasons left to do this, otherwise it's a failure. I think Seattle may need more than 3 seasons to rebuild, but we're still going to try it. And the first thing I see here when I open up free agency is Nick Bosa. He's not super interested in coming here, but I'm definitely going to throw him a contract offer because he would be a massive, massive help. And I think if we can land these guys, our defense is going to get a lot better. Nick Bosa, obviously, I told you guys I was going to offer him a contract. Logan Wilson, we're the top offer on him. Also the top offer on Miles Jack. He's not a scheme fit, but he's one of the best middle linebackers available. Zach Seiler, who is a scheme fit, and Fletcher Cox, who is a scheme fit, just to play defensive tackle because I don't have anyone else there right now. Let's see if anyone takes these offers. And we land Nick Bosa, Miles Jack, Zach Seiler, and Fletcher Cox. The only one we're waiting on is Logan Wilson. And now here are the next handful of contracts I am throwing out. Logan Wilson, Nyheim Hines, Matt Filer, and Matt Paradis. Like I said, still don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm bringing in Nyheim Hines to be a backup running back because our other backup running backs are below a 70 overall. So let's see if anyone signs these contracts. And it looks like Hines hasn't signed and Filer hasn't signed. But we do land Logan Wilson and we land Matt Paradis, whatever the hell his name is. And after second thought, I pulled the contract for Nyheim Hines. We will just look to see if we can draft a running back later in the draft to be a backup. And do we land that guy? Yes, we get Matt Filer just in case I can't draft a left guard in the draft. But I really think that we got a very, very good free agent class here. So I didn't look through this last season because there wasn't any massive names. Miles Sanders was the best rated player, and I have no idea where he went. But obviously, we got Nick Bosa. Derrick Henry is headed to Atlanta. Justin Herbert is headed to Pittsburgh. Rashawn Gary is a Bear. Jeffrey Simmons is a Lion. And Jalen Hurts is headed to the Jets, who just beat them in the Super Bowl. And now we are at the next NFL draft, and we have the number 2 pick in this draft. We went 5 and 12. I figured we'd be picking a little later than 2, but I'm not going to be upset. And the Titans with the number 1 pick will take defensive end Tracy Agnew out of Washington State. And I think we're actually going to trade this pick away. I'm going to trade it to the Raiders to get pick 9 in this draft and pick 41 in the second round. And here are the players I passed up on. Obviously, there's a left end up here, but we just signed a left end with, I believe, Zach Seiler. I hope I'm remembering his name right or saying it right at all. I kind of want Delonte Saunders here, but I thought it was a little too early at pick 2 to take him, so I'm going to hope he falls down to 9, but that may be a little bit risky. So let's see how the next few picks go here in this draft. At pick 2, the Raiders are going to take quarterback Martin Johnson out of Northern Iowa. Don't know why I couldn't read that for a second. The Buccaneers take left end Lamar Johnson. The Jaguars at pick 4 take outside linebacker Edward Samuel. At pick 5, the Lions are going to take left tackle Colin Cook. The Ravens are going to take free safety Forrest Collins out of Oklahoma. I always like to see that show up, even if they are auto-generated. Don't know why. The Vikings take left tackle Antoine Smith out of Michigan State. And right before us, the Saints are going to take tight end Junior Gordon out of Texas. So we're going to go in and just take this defensive tackle. I don't care if he's not a scheme fit or not. Delonte Saunders. Let's actually make sure he's relatively strong. Second strongest defensive tackle in his class. C awareness isn't great. B play rec, B block shedding, B finesse move. We're going to take Delonte Saunders, and he will have a hidden dev trait. And I think here with pick 2 in the second round, I'm going to take tight end John Andrews out of North Carolina State. He seems to be pretty big. He is 6'6", 255 pounds, A catching, A deep route. Let's see what else he has. A to C awareness, somewhere around there. B pass block. And he is the second fastest tight end in the class. We're going to take tight end John Andrews, and he will have a hidden dev trait. And with pick 9 here in the second round, this one's a bit of a risk because I don't know his awareness. Generally, whenever they're hidden dev trait, they're A or B awareness. But let's take right guard Devin Green, who will have a hidden dev trait. And now here with pick 2 in the third round, I'm going to take defensive tackle Brenton Spriggs. And I don't know a lot about him. He's B to D awareness, A play rec, C finesse move, C hit power, A tackle, F injury, but he was not able to compete in the combine. But at his college pro day, he was the strongest defensive tackle in the class, so we're going to go ahead and take him. And sadly, he does have a normal depth rate, but he has 98 strength. And now this is something pretty rare that I actually do. I'm going to make a pick here in the 4th round for center Jeff Warren. He has a pass block. That's really all I know about him. He's the 9th strongest center at the combine and was the 5th strongest center at his pro day. But we're going to take Jeff Warren, and he will have a hidden depth trait. Generally, I don't make these picks, but if I find someone that I like that I think will be there later, I will most likely stick around to try to make that pick. And now I will simulate to the end of the draft and let the computer handle the rest of these rounds. And I would say we ended up with a pretty solid draft class. We got a 76 overall defensive tackle in the first round, a 74 overall tight end in the second, a 74 overall right guard in the second, a 74 overall defensive tackle, a 72 overall center, a 70 overall running back. This was actually the computer that did that, Steven Street, and then a 68 overall receiver and a 66 overall left tackle. And it looks like I passed on 2 of the best players in the draft. Lamar Johnson was an 80 overall left end, and Forrest Collins is an 80 overall safety. Could have taken either one of those, but elected to trade back. And here is the starting offense for Season 2 of this rebuild. Obviously, 85 overall CJ Stroud. We have an 89 overall Kenneth Walker, and 91 overall DK Metcalf, and then obviously our new center and right guard that we took in the draft. It looks like Andrews will be starting fullback and backup tight end for now. Hopefully he gets moved up during the season. But here, I think this defense looks a lot better than it did last season. Obviously carried by Nick Bosa here. We're going to really count on you to do your job. I may need to focus a little more on corner in the next offseason. I don't think having your number 1 corner be an 82 overall is the best idea in the world, but I'm hoping the rest of the defense can kind of make up for that. Last season, we were 5-12, and we were near the bottom in both offensive and defensive points per game. Let's hope there's at least a little bit of improvement here. And it looks like we missed the playoffs again, but this time we have the 21st offense in points per game and the 13th defense, so I feel like we're a little bit better. And what the hell happened here? It looks like CJ Stroud may have missed some time. 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Baker Mayfield, 23 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And it looks like CJ Stroud only played in 9 games, so it looks like he missed about half the season. That is not exactly ideal. What about running the ball? Kenneth Walker, 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. And receiving DK Metcalf, 116 catches, 1,500 yards, 7 touchdowns. Will Dissly caught 7, Juju caught 6. What about our rookie tight end? He caught 4 touchdowns, and Tyler Lockett caught 4. Alright, we're going to have a bit to change during the offseason, I feel like. Miles Jack led the team in tackles with 105. Sacks goes to Nick Bosa with 15. And interceptions, Alexander Johnson got 2, Miles Jack got 2, and Logan Wilson got 2. And Teddy Bridgewater, who is now the quarterback of the Titans, led the league in passing yards with 5,200. Jordan Love for the Chargers was second, and then Tom Brady still hasn't retired. What about touchdowns? That goes to Dak Prescott, and interceptions goes to Tom Brady for the 2nd year in a row. And what about running the ball? Nick Chubb leads the league in yards with almost 1,500, and touchdowns, that goes to Josh Jacobs with 24. And I did not mean to go to blocking. Let's go back to receiving here. Brandon Ayuk with 122 receptions, 1,700 yards, and 13 touchdowns. But BJ Clark, a rookie receiver at Dallas, caught 19 touchdowns to lead the league. Well, this 3-year stretch in this league would absolutely suck to be an Eagles fan. You lose the Super Bowl in 2022, you lose the Super Bowl in 2023, you lose your quarterback to the team you lost to, and then Dallas comes in and wins the Super Bowl the next year, 35-21, led by Dak Prescott. The NFL MVP is Dak Prescott, Coach of the Year is McCarthy, Offensive Player of the Year goes to Josh Jacobs, Defensive Player of the Year goes to Aaron Donald, Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to the Cowboys receiver that caught 19 touchdowns, not really much of a shock, and Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to a corner for Indianapolis. And now we have $62.6 million in cap space and 15 players ready to negotiate their contracts for the final offseason of this rebuild. And there are some decent names here. Quandre Diggs, we're probably not going to bring back Fletcher Cox, Will Dissly, and none of these guys really want to come back, and none of them are great here. Trey Brown, I recognize you just because you went to Oklahoma. Well, you did too. 69 overall quarterback Baker Mayfield. But I don't really see anyone here that I'm dying to bring back, but let's at least throw an offer at Quandre Diggs. Actually, no, we're not going to throw an offer at Quandre Diggs. 80 overall, 32 years old. We're going to let him walk, see if we can maybe bring him back in free agency or see if there's a better option. So yeah, we're going to let all of these guys walk. Well, CJ Stroud still got a little bit better this year. I believe he was an 85 overall, now an 86 overall, but you can't really blame him when he misses half the season. But aside from CJ Stroud, let's take a look at the rest of the offense. Kenneth Walker's now a 91 overall, DK Metcalf's a 93, Tyler Lockett's an 88, Juju is an 86. Receiver still seems to be fine. So unless there's someone we absolutely can't miss in free agency, and it would have to be like Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, I don't think we're going to sign a free agent wide receiver. And over on defense, Saunders is a superstar X factor, so that's actually pretty big. We need to get a new free safety. We need a new right outside linebacker, probably a new left outside linebacker, because where did Logan Wilson go? It looks like he's actually injured, so we should be fine there. So I guess we lost him at some point through the season. That probably did not help our team too much. And now we'll take a look at the free agents for this final free agency here in this video. We have Joe Mixon, we have Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Michael Thomas, Greg Newsome, Asante Samuel, and DJ Reed. We could really overhaul the cornerback room if I wanted to. None of them are super interested in us, but I feel like we could probably get at least 2 of them, maybe just 1, but it doesn't look like any other massive names are here. And here are the contracts I am throwing out here. Defensive back Greg Newsome, defensive back Asante Samuel. Like I said, I could probably rebuild my room pretty well with both of these guys. Austin Corbett, yes, I have a right guard, but I can play one of them at left guard. Javon Hargrave for defensive tackle, and Marcus Epps at free safety. The main thing is he was the highest rated person that's actually a scheme fit, so let's see if any of these guys actually take these contracts. They're all gone, and they have all signed with Seattle. And this time it looks like we have picked 12 in the draft. We'll see what the first few picks are. The Texans are going to take right tackle John McCann out of Texas Tech. The Rams are going to take left end Jason Searcy out of Alabama. And the 49ers will take quarterback Brandon Whitlock out of Utah State. And now we will jump to our pick. And I am going to make one trade here during the draft. I am trading Tyler Lockett in a 3rd round pick over to Arizona to get Marquise Brown. The main reason is because he is a scheme fit, so hopefully that'll help our offense out a little bit. And I'm making one more trade. I am trading our 1st round pick and a 4th round pick this year to Baltimore for free safety Marcus Williams. And now with pick 12 here in the 2nd round, I'm going to take outside linebacker Otis Gilchrist out of USF, and he will come in with a normal dev trade. Generally, I do this at the end of every rebuild. If I don't feel like the team is enough, I start to sell this team's future to try to win a Super Bowl this season. I think it's going to be a long shot either way with this team. And yeah, I did not make a good draft pick here. Otis Gilchrist is a 67 overall normal dev trade. And then they also took Gavin Robinson, who's 67 overall, a 71 overall receiver, and a 64 overall corner. So clearly not a draft class that's going to help us this year. So the weakest spot on this team right now is outside linebacker. The best left outside linebacker we have is a 68 overall, and they're not much better on the right side. We do have Boye Mafe. I hope that's how his name is pronounced. I could be completely wrong. But I'm going to go see if there's any outside linebackers here that I can trade for. And looking through these guys, in my experience at least, outside linebacker or linebacker in general does matter a bit to fit your scheme. TJ Watson, 96 overall, has a trade target veteran player tag, but I don't know if that would be the best trade for us considering he doesn't fit our scheme. So what we're going to attempt to do is trade for Frankie Louvu, and I'm hoping I'm saying his name right. We're going to use this feature here and see if there's any draft picks that they want. We'll go ahead and take this one, a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 6th round pick. So we have officially traded for Frankie Louvu from the Panthers. And so here is our offense for our make or break season. Almost everyone is a star, a superstar outside of right tackle and fullback. So I feel like we have a pretty solid offense for CJ Stroud. And then over on defense, I feel like we built a pretty solid starting defense. I really like our cornerback room now. I like our safety room. I feel like this is by far the best team we built. Yes, I built it by trading, but let's simulate the season and see if we can finally at least make the playoffs. Now, in my Raiders rebuild, I didn't win the Super Bowl until the final season, so I've done this before. Maybe we can pull it off this year. I just think it's a pretty long shot. I think I may have needed a couple more years. I may come back to this one eventually and try a 5-year rebuild if this doesn't work. But right now with these offseason rebuilds, I just want to do 3-year rebuilds and see if I can win a Super Bowl in that time frame. And we are finally a pretty good team here. We finished the season 14-3. We are the 9th offense in points per game and the 3rd defense in points per game. And it appears CJ Stroud stayed healthy the entire season this time. 4,600 yards, 38 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. And Kenneth Walker ran for 1,200 yards and 18 touchdowns. Receiving DK Metcalf, 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns. Marquise Brown caught 10 touchdowns, so that trade ended up being worth it. And over on defense, Logan Wilson led the team in tackles with 127. Nick Bosa got 26 sacks. Frankie Louvu got 10.5. And interceptions, Greg Newsome got 6. Tariq Woolen got 4. And Jamal Adams got 4. And I have no idea who Vince Lewis is for the Titans, but he threw for 5,800 yards, 51 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. That is absolutely ridiculous. What about running the ball? Jonathan Taylor ran for 1,600 yards, and in touchdowns, that goes to Zeke, who got 20 in his 10th year in the league. Receiving, Brandon Ayuk, 118 receptions, 1,700 yards. And leading the league in yards was Amari Cooper with almost 1,800. And touchdowns goes to Michael Thomas, who caught 21 in Kansas City. Now, I want to go back and look at this kid. Vince Lewis. Was this a rookie or a second-year player? He's only a 77 overall star dev trait player. That is ridiculously good. And here is how the first round of the playoffs went. We end up as the 1 seed, obviously, so we don't play a game in the first round, and we will take on the Green Bay Packers. And we win our first playoff game of the series 35-32, so we are headed to the NFC Championship game. But sadly, that is where our season will end as we lose to Carolina 28-21, so the Super Bowl will be between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Carolina Panthers. And if you're gonna lose in the playoffs, I would much rather lose to the team that eventually would become Super Bowl champions, which is what happened. The Panthers win 35-20. So we sold out this team's future to try to win a Super Bowl this season. Obviously, it did not work. We finished 14-3. By far the best record we had. CJ Stroud finishes as an 89 overall quarterback with a superstar dev trait. Still feel like they have a pretty solid future set up with this man playing quarterback in this universe. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys next time.